Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu, translated by John Minford. Picture this. Two intellectual titans meet for the first time. One is Confucius. Yeah, that Confucius. The brilliant mind obsessed with rules, structure, and building the perfect society through proper behavior. The guy basically invented, there's a right way to do things. The other, a wizened old archivist named Lao Tzu, which literally just means the old master. Nothing fancy. So Confucius, being the eternal student, tracks down this old master to pick his brain. When he gets back, his disciples are practically bouncing off the walls with curiosity. Master, what did you teach him? What wisdom did you drop? Confucius says, nothing, for 3 whole days. Finally, his students can't take it anymore. Come on, what happened? Confucius looks at them with this strange mixture of awe and bewilderment and says, listen, I understand birds. They fly. Fish, they swim. Animals run. I get all that. Whatever runs can be trapped. Whatever swims, you can net it. Whatever flies, you can shoot it down. But a dragon? A dragon that rides the clouds into the heavens? That's completely beyond me. Today, I met Lao Tzu. He is a dragon. That's our starting point. A wisdom so profound it leaves even the smartest person in the room absolutely speechless. And somehow, this ancient sage managed to distill that dragon wisdom into one slim volume, barely longer than a long magazine article. It's called the Tao Te Ching, and it's the second most translated book in human history, right after the Bible. For over 2,500 years, it's been quietly rewiring how billions of people think about life. We're diving into John Minford's translation, which is special because he didn't just convert words from one language to another. He sat with ancient commentaries for years, listening to the echoes of masters who've been wrestling with these ideas for centuries. So what is this path? It's called the Tao, and it's going to flip everything you've learned about success upside down. Instead of forcing, it yields. Instead of shouting, it whispers. It finds power in what everyone else calls weakness. Here's my promise. By the time we're done, you'll have a secret way of moving through the world. You'll be more powerful by being gentle, more successful by letting go, and wiser by embracing your own not knowing. You might just glimpse that dragon Confucius saw. And honestly, in our frantic, noisy, exhausting modern world, this might be exactly the medicine we need. Let's dive in. Alright, so what exactly is the Tao? The book immediately throws down the gauntlet with these opening lines. The Tao that can be told is not the true Tao. Names that can be named are not true names. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to explain the color blue to someone who's never seen it. You could say it's like the sky or the ocean, but those are just comparisons, right? You haven't actually given them blue itself. Words fall short. That's what Lao Tzu is getting at. The Tao is the fundamental rhythm of the universe, the invisible current running through everything. It existed before heaven and earth, silent and shapeless, the mother of all things. It's not a god you worship. It's more like a current you feel and ride. The moment you try to capture it with words, to pin it down with a definition, it slips away. The real Tao is something you experience, not something you talk about. It's a wordless teaching. Which raises an obvious question. If you can't talk about it, how do you live it? Enter Wu Wei, probably the most mind-bending concept in the whole book. It's usually translated as non-action, which sounds terrible, right? Like you're just supposed to vegetate on your couch all day. But that's not it at all. Wu Wei isn't about doing nothing. It's about effortless action. It's about moving with the natural flow instead of struggling against it. Picture a surfer. She doesn't command the ocean. She doesn't fight the waves. That would be ridiculous and exhausting. Instead, she reads the water, feels its rhythm, and positions herself to be carried by the wave's own power. She reaches the shore with grace and speed, not through brute force, but by aligning with something much bigger than herself. That's Wu Wei. Lao Tzu puts it perfectly. Ruling a great nation is like cooking a small fish. Think about it. If you're cooking a delicate little fish, and you keep poking it, flipping it, messing with it constantly, what happens? It falls apart. The best approach? Prepare it properly, put it on the heat, and leave it alone. Trust the process. Stop meddling. Our lives are like that fish. We think we need to control everything, force outcomes, constantly interfere. We poke and prod, and in our frantic effort to make things happen, we often tear them apart. The Taoist master practices non-action. They get things done without seeming to do anything. They trust how events naturally unfold. They do what's necessary, then step back. Because they never grip too tightly. They never lose their hold. This whole idea of letting go comes up again and again. Letting go is better than filling to the brim. A blade overly sharpened does not last long. We live in a world screaming at us to sharpen our blades constantly, be more productive, more efficient, more competitive. Fill your life to bursting with achievements and stuff. But the Tao Te Ching says this is a fast track to burnout and collapse. Real strength comes from knowing when to stop, knowing what's enough, and letting go. So if we're not supposed to force things, what should guide us? What's our model? Lao Tzu gives us this gorgeous, powerful image: water. The best is like water. Water benefits the myriad things. Water does not contend. Think about water's nature. It's soft, gentle, yielding. It doesn't argue or fight. When it meets a rock, it doesn't try to smash through. It simply flows around. And where does water go? To the lowest places, the forgotten valleys and ditches that everyone else avoids. While the whole world is clawing its way to the top, water finds its power by going low. Yet despite all that softness and humility, what's more powerful than water? That gentle stream, given enough time, carves through solid stone. A flood moves mountains. Water extinguishes the fiercest fire. The softest thing in the world overcomes the hardest. This is the heart of the Tao's teaching. We're told that to be strong, we must be hard, rigid, unbending. But Lao Tzu flips that completely. He points out that when you're born, you're soft and flexible. When you die, you're stiff and rigid. Living trees bend, dead wood snaps. The hard and strong belong to death. The soft and gentle belong to life. Living in harmony with the Tao means cultivating water's qualities. Be adaptable. Be humble enough to seek the low places. Be patient and persistent, knowing that gentleness eventually overcomes all force. When you can do this, you move through the world without resistance. You become, as Lao Tzu says, invincible. This brings us to one of the most beautiful concepts in the entire book, the uncarved block. Imagine a simple chunk of wood, fresh from the forest. It hasn't been carved, painted, or shaped into anything yet. It's pure potential. It could become a table, a chair, a sculpture, or 1,000 other things. In its raw, natural state, it's complete. This, Lao Tzu says, is your true nature. You're born as an uncarved block. Simple, pure, full of possibility. But then the world gets its tools out and starts carving. Parents, teachers, friends, society, everyone has an agenda. They tell you who you should be, what you should want, how you should act. They slap labels on you: smart, shy, athletic, creative. They carve you into specific shapes with specific functions. And while that might seem useful, something precious gets lost. Your original wholeness disappears. You become a finished product, limited and defined. The Tao's practice is a journey of return. It's about getting back to that uncarved block state. Not by becoming ignorant, but by unlearning all the artificial complexity, desire, and ambition the world has layered onto you. It's about rediscovering your simple, authentic self. The Taoist master embraces simplicity. They prefer plain, undyed silk to fancy patterns. They think less of self and diminish desire. They find peace, not in accumulating more, but in needing less. This probably sounds weird in a world constantly telling you to build your personal brand, stand out, be somebody. The Tao Te Ching suggests the opposite. It says the Taoist keeps their light hidden. They fly under the radar. They often look dull or foolish to others. One chapter describes it beautifully. While everyone else is bright and lively, celebrating like there's a big party, I alone am forlorn, like an infant yet to smile. Mine is the heart and mind of the pure fool. This isn't self-pity. It's profound freedom. Freedom from needing to perform, to impress, to be anything other than what you truly are. The Taoist wears rough sackcloth on the outside, but carries jade in their heart. The real treasure is hidden within. So how does this quiet, humble, water-like person lead others? How does Tao wisdom apply to leadership? Just like it revolutionizes personal success, it completely redefines leadership. We think of leaders as being out front, charismatic, decisive, commanding. They give speeches, make plans, take charge. Lao Tzu offers something radically different. He says the greatest rulers are the ones people barely know exist. Not the leader who's loved and praised, not the one who's feared, the one who's almost invisible. The Taoist leader governs through wu-wei, through non-action. They don't impose their will or micromanage. They create conditions for people to thrive on their own. They trust their people. They guide gently, from behind. And when the work is done, when success comes and the community flourishes, people don't say, "Our amazing leader did this for us." They say, "We did it ourselves." The leader's ultimate achievement is making themselves unnecessary. To do this, a leader must be like water and seek the low places. A great nation, Lao Tzu says, is like the downstream of a river, the natural destination where all streams flow. By placing itself beneath other nations, by being humble and receptive, it wins allegiance without force. This is the power of what Lao Tzu calls the feminine, or the yin. Our world values masculine or yang qualities, action, aggression, striving, brightness. But the Tao reminds us of yin's immense power: stillness, receptivity, darkness, gentleness. The valley spirit, the mystic feminine, is the gateway to all marvels. The woman, Lao Tzu notes, prevails over the man through her calm, by lying beneath. In this yielding, receptive stillness, new life is created. A true leader understands this balance. They're not afraid to be the guest rather than the host, to retreat a foot rather than advance an inch. They know this isn't weakness. It's the highest form of strength. So, pulling all these threads together, the unknowable way, the power of non-action, the wisdom of water, the simplicity of the uncarved block, and the humility of true leadership, we arrive at a practical philosophy for living. What's the bottom line? Lao Tzu says, "I have 3 treasures to hold and to cherish." Not gold or jewels, principles for a good life. The first treasure is compassion. It's the source of true courage. When you act from deep kindness and empathy, you become fearless. You're not fighting for yourself, but for others. Heaven, Lao Tzu says, protects the compassionate person. The second treasure is frugality, though simplicity might be a better word. It doesn't mean being cheap. It means not being wasteful with your resources, energy, or time. It means knowing what's enough. And paradoxically, from this simplicity comes real generosity. When you're not constantly chasing more for yourself, you have abundance to share. The third treasure is self-effacement, or humility. It's refusing to put yourself first, to take precedence over others. And from this humility, this willingness to stay in the background, comes the capacity for true leadership. People follow you not because you demand it, but because they trust you. Compassion, simplicity, humility. These are the Taoist's treasures. The book overflows with beautiful paradoxes that challenge how we see things. The curved is whole. A straight line is brittle, but a circle is complete and endless. Great perfection seems flawed. Anything that seems too perfect is probably hiding something. True beauty and strength have imperfections. Great eloquence seems to stammer. Someone who speaks too smoothly might be insincere. Real wisdom often struggles for words. And perhaps the most important paradox, to know not knowing. This is true in highest knowledge. In our information age, where you can look up anything in seconds, we think knowledge is power. But Lao Tzu reminds us that the wisest people are deeply aware of what they don't know. They're comfortable with mystery. They're humble before the universe's vastness. Pretending to know everything is an illness. Knowing that you don't know, that's health. That's where true wisdom begins. Ultimately, the Tao Te Ching is a guide to coming home. Home to your true self. Home to a more natural and harmonious way of being. It teaches living with life's great cycles without fear. Those who cling desperately to life move toward the terrain of death. But those who nurture life gently, who flow with the current, who accept how things naturally unfold, for them there's no terrain of death. They die but don't perish, because they're one with the everlasting Tao. It's a path of daily decrease, not daily increase. While the world tells you to learn more, do more, acquire more, the Tao asks you to shed, simplify, let go. Decrease upon decrease, until you reach effortless action, non-action, where everything gets accomplished and happens on its own. The Tao's words, as the book admits, are bland. They lack the exciting flavor of worldly promises. But if you practice them, their nourishment is infinite. You wear the rough sackcloth of a simple life, but carry the most precious jade within your heart. Stepping back from this ancient text, it's almost startling how directly it speaks to us today. We're living in the age of the overly sharpened blade. Our phones, calendars, ambitions, everything's optimized for maximum performance, constant action. We're encouraged to build personal brands, project success and confidence, be the host, not the guest. And the result? A global epidemic of burnout, anxiety, and disconnection. From nature, from each other, from ourselves. We're rowing furiously against a powerful current, and we're drowning in exhaustion. The Tao Te Ching isn't just quaint, mystical sayings. It's a profound and practical antidote to modern madness. It offers a different definition of strength, a different path to success, and a different way to find peace. Its most powerful lesson, for me, is shifting from a mindset of control to one of trust. The world tells us we're masters of our destiny, that we must bend the universe to our will. This creates crushing pressure. If we fail, it's our fault. If we succeed, we must grip it tightly, terrified of losing it. The Tao offers release from this burden. It suggests we're part of a vast, intelligent, self-regulating system. Our job isn't to control it, but to find our harmonious place within it, to trust the flow. This doesn't mean being passive. The surfer isn't passive. It means being exquisitely aware, responsive, and aligned. It's a dynamic dance with reality, not a fight against it. So how can you start walking this path right now? You don't need to move to a mountaintop or become a hermit. The Tao's wisdom lives in everyday life. Here are some simple starting points. First, practice finding your uncarved block. Set aside 30 minutes this week to do something with absolutely no goal. Not to improve, not for social media, not for a side hustle, just for the simple, pure joy of doing it. Doodle, stack stones, walk without a destination, or sit and listen to sounds around you. In that moment of aimless presence, you touch the uncarved block state. Second, next time you face a tough problem or conflict, try finding the water-like path. Instead of immediately asking, how do I force a solution? How do I win this argument? Ask something different. What's the path of least resistance here? How can I flow around this obstacle instead of breaking through it? Sometimes the most powerful action is yielding, waiting, letting the situation evolve. Finally, try listening for the wordless teaching. Our lives overflow with noise, podcasts, music, conversations, racing thoughts. Spend just 5 minutes a day in silence. Not formal meditation, just being quiet. Pay attention to what nature, or the silence itself, might be telling you. The rustle of leaves, the feeling of air, your breath's rhythm. The deepest truths often arrive when we finally stop talking and start listening. The journey into the Tao is a journey inward. It's returning to wisdom that's already inside you, buried beneath layers of striving and expectation. It's the quiet, steady voice whispering, "Let go, trust the process. Be simple, be kind, be like water." It's a path that doesn't lead to some grand destination, but to a more graceful and joyful way of traveling. It's discovering that the greatest treasure you'll ever possess is the simple peace of your own true nature. That was our deep dive into the Tao Te Ching as translated by John Minford. We've explored its core ideas, but here's the truth. A summary is only ever a map. The real magic happens when you walk the territory yourself. It's in those quiet moments when a particular verse or simple image strikes a chord deep within you, in ways you didn't expect. This exploration is designed to help you decide if this path is worth walking. If anything we've talked about today felt like a quiet truth you already knew, then I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading this book isn't just about learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change how you move through life. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please consider liking and subscribing. That way you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book. Let's keep growing together.